What is up? We are live. We are recording. Happy Friday, May 12th, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Today we have a special 4 hours, potentially an entire 4 hours of amazing content today as we are doing this. We are doing these like live training webinars, like group style with amazing speakers and trainers coming in and dropping bombs. And we're doing them like every 4-6 weeks because I love it. We've gotten incredible feedback from the ones we've had before, and we have amazing speakers to share today. Today is all about leads, marketing, getting in front of people. Once you're like help you get in front of people with some training and some follow-up and some skills along the way. Okay, so as you are coming in, please throw in chat where you are watching from. So Ty, Steve, Shawn, and Bill can see what markets we're working with today. What is up, Tim, in New York? We got Dallas, Jersey, Nevada, New York, Dallas, Alabama, Michigan. What is up? I love it. California, Wisconsin, San Antonio, Florida, Missouri, Atlanta, Kentucky, Indiana, Florida, Maryland, New Jersey, Washington, Houston, Texas. Canada's in the house. What is up, George from Georgia, Florida, Indianapolis, Ontario, Canada. Again, what is up, Gotham? Good to see you. Andrew from Oregon, Chicago is in the house. What is up, Kenny? I love it, man. Appreciate y'all being here. Texas. We have Zambia, Africa, Lawendo. What is up? Good to see you all the way in Africa. I can't imagine what time it is you're watching this, but you're committed and I love it. Another Ontario, Texas, Houston, Texas, Orange County, Cali. Probably much better weather than I got in Springfield, Mo, today. Steve's up in St. Louis, Mo. It's not been too bad, but it's been a little stormy and all night and rainy lately. What is up, Dana in Springfield, Mary in Virginia, Houston, Texas, Katie, Tampa Bay, go Bucks, sort of, LA, Cali, what's up, Montreal, okay, what is up? I'm excited to do this event with y'all. I appreciate you being here. Our goal for this, just so you're aware, I love to like state like, what can I expect, Cody? Why am I here? Okay, you are here because we are going to give you not only new marketing and lead ideas, right? And I'm also going to share some new stuff I'm working on, which is super freaking exciting. And our speakers are going to share what they are doing to see more people and to make a bunch of freaking money, like heavy 6- and 7-figure companies that have dialed this in, right? What's up, Priscilla in Singapore? I've never been. I need to go. What is up, Don in Cincy? And so when we talk about leads and marketing, like I believe, right, we got 92% of insurance agents that are failing. I believe it is because of this topic right here, right? Because I truly believe, you could say, dude, it's all about sales. And sales is really important. I love sales, great at sales. I'm a huge sales guy. I get it. But without getting in front of people, there is no sales to be made or any sales ability to do at all. And so today's about helping you and helping any agents that are not making money. I would love if you would throw in chat, if you are under, if you are actually just put how many years you've been in the business. So put a 1 for 1 year, 2 for 2 years, a 5 for 5 years, a 80 if you've been in 80 years, right? Less than 1 if it's under 1, 5 months, 12 years, 1 year, 1 year, 7 years, 3 years, less than 1. What's up, Fung? 27 years, 1.5 years in Medicare. That's great. 16, half a year, less than 1, 5 months, 20 plus, 7 years, about 5 months. Okay, I love that. Mary, 23 years. Congratulations, 5 months. Just for the last 4 months. Dana, I would have thought you've been in it for 5 years, more than 5 months. So you are amazing. You're crushing it. Dave, 120. Maybe that means months, maybe years. Maybe you're really old. Who freaking knows? Gotham, 2.5 years. Kyle, 17 years. Andrew Morrow's been doing it 11 years with Medicare. Okay. And we got some amazing, we've got life, we've got health, and we've got P&C today, right? So we got a phenomenal mix of speakers. There's gonna be talking about all the different topics. 1 month, 5 months from the Philippines. What is up, Raven in the Philippines? I love that. I actually spoke to 4,000 agents in the Philippines a couple of years ago virtually. I was supposed to go there and then COVID happened. So I jumped on virtually. I'm sure we may have met because of that. I don't know, but I loved it. Miguel, 6 years career agent, 1 year independent. Welcome, brother. Appreciate that. That is amazing. Okay. One thing I do know that as we're going through this, right, is that, no matter how long you've been in the business, you can succeed at an extremely high level, right? Anything that you hear from any of these speakers today, You can do the exact same thing. I absolutely guarantee it. But until you start to believe it down to your core, right? Like there's a lot of agents that are like, Cody, I want to make six figures. I think I want to make six figures. I want to do this. I want to do that. But I truly believe that people are saying like goals and dreams and they're throwing them out. But then 5 seconds later, they're like, but I'm not very good at overcoming objections. But I'm kind of dumb. But I don't know how to get in front of people. My upline sucks. My company's terrible. I don't know how to quote. Like, and you start doubting yourself and your ability literally seconds after you just proclaimed something for your life that you want to achieve. And so I truly believe that people like say stuff, but I'm committed that every day to make Cody Askins believe even more in what I'm doing so that down to my core, I truly start to believe what I'm actually wanting to achieve and say. And I think there's millions of people on the planet, billions, that say they want to achieve stuff, but literally down to their core, if you said, do you believe that will happen down to your core? They don't actually believe it, right? They just don't. But I'm glad that you are on here, and I hope that this will help you start to believe down to your core. Help me out also. If you've made six figures in this industry, type yes. If you have not made six figures yet, type no. Okay, it's okay to be honest, transparent, right? We've got several who have, several who have not, probably more who have not. That's kind of normal. That's okay. But I'm here to tell you there are more millionaires that's even better than six figures, by the way, more millionaires in this space than any other space in the world. Financial services and insurance have more millionaires than any other industry in the world, which is freaking amazing. And our speakers have made six figures and seven figures in like one industry, sometimes multiple industries. Like they're just freaking gangster legends. Okay. And they're going to help you out today and spit some game. I don't know what gangster legends is, but either way, we're going to have some fun. Okay. What is up, Gretchen? What is up, Raven? What is up, Greg? What is up, Ginger? What is up, Lamel? It's our job today and our duty today to help you make your first six figures. Okay. And I can assure you that the things that you learn today, you can 100% make that amount of money for the rest of this year and the next 12 months if you apply and commit what you learn. Okay. So there's a couple things that I want to share, a couple updates in my life and in our company life before I throw to our first speaker of the morning, which will be here in about 5, 10, 15 minutes. Our first speaker will be Mr. Shawn Simpson in just a second. But as of about a week and a half ago, Monday, May 1st, my wife and I bought our business partner out of our Landon, out of our secure agent marketing company. And so I've actually been thrown back in heavily into the day-to-day operations and communications of leads and marketing. And so this training, which we already had pre-planned, could not come at a better time because I've been in the thick of it for weeks, getting back in the day-to-day operations of this thing, as Landon was running this thing for 4 years and Toby was helping from a high level as a VP of marketing. And I was just coming in as like a promoter that knew a lot about it, right? Because I've been building a brand for 7.5 years. I made six figures at 20. Like I understand leads, how to get in front of people, right? I was generating 20,000 leads a month. I was the first ever Facebook lead vendor generating 20,000 leads a month for one of the largest IMOs in the country back in 2018, right? And so I understand the game, but I'm sharing that because I am happy to get back involved. So we've actually, if you've ever been to our campus, I call it a campus because it sounds cool, okay? In Springfield, Missouri, we have multiple buildings with offices. We had our Cody Askins team in a different building, right? I'll actually give you a little sneak peek today as I'm on my laptop, so I'm kind of mobile, okay? We were in a different building across the parking lot, right? Which is right over there, okay? We had about 3,000 to 4,000 square feet of that building. That's where my CA and 8% team was. And now we've actually moved across the parking lot into the marketing building. And so I've moved not only the CA team and everybody in the marketing building around, but we are remodeling this space. I've took over 2 offices here. This is my office in here now in the other building, right? And so we're working on the day-to-day operations of how we can help agents, whether it's events, right? Whether it's branding or whether it's seeing people, right? And so I'm actually testing a couple new projects right now on the marketing side. One of the things that's absolutely crushing it for us, I just want you to be aware of this. Also, Toby's going to be sharing a link throughout the day that if you want to talk to our team about anything we're doing, you can hit our link. Also, the speakers will be dropping either links for them or texting them or emailing them or whatever, if you want to learn from them, right? And so one of the things that we are doing, we are crushing at, is managing budgets on Google, okay, for final expense and Medicare and general life insurance. We are crushing it at managing budgets with Google advertising. Like I think of, and this is a marketing training, so I'm going to kind of educate for a second and teach, right? If you think about driving down the interstate and there's a billboard on the side of the road, right? You're driving, you see the billboard, but you didn't ask to see the billboard. Fair, right? I think that's in most of the case, like Facebook, TikTok, etc., right? Just social media platforms. You're on the platform. It's good to advertise, good to get leads, good to see people, but the consumers technically, normally didn't ask to see the billboard inside of the social media platform, right? Well, what I personally love about Google is Google, people actually go into Google, and it's the largest search engine in the world. YouTube's the second largest search engine in the world. People are going to Google. They're actually physically searching for, I would like a quote about Medicare or burial life insurance, right? And or whatever, or you know what, a home and auto quote, right? Whatever. And they are putting these things in Google, and then you are bidding on keywords, and then you are hoping to pop up so that you get seen. And then they're driving that traffic to your landing page, right? And then on your landing page, it educates, there's a form, it provides more information. And then you are literally able to gather leads. They can go straight to you into your CRM or wherever you want. But I love Google because of the intent and the quality of the people that are actually searching for help. Like there's millions of searches every single year for all types of insurance, including life insurance. And I would rather get a lead from someone searching on Google than just about any other type, right? And so that's one of the things that I've learned as we have Google engineers literally across the building. Okay. I'll even keep showing you because I love showing you a little behind the scenes for hanging out in the headquarters today. Okay. We've got a massive sales room with a bazillion people that are supposed to be working. Okay. And then literally this entire massive room on the other side of this is full of engineers. Okay. I'm not going to go in there because they love it when all the team members go and like bother them while they're in the middle of building campaigns, right? However, we've got engineers that are building out, that are learning, that are testing. And what I learned once I moved back into this world and got really involved, that we are crushing it on Google. Like we're managing budgets. We're getting final expense leads for a massive call center. They've spent $500,000 with us. We've generated over 30,000 leads, and we're getting leads for them all over the country for final expense quotes for $15.01 because we're setting everything up. We're watching and optimizing, and we're managing a Google budget, right? So I want to share that as one thing that's doing well. Okay, so that would be Google. If you have questions about that, Toby can share a link, or you can shoot me a email, Cody at Cody Askins. I'll be happy to talk about that. But that's crushing it. Number one, I didn't realize we were doing so well at Google. Our freaking engineers are awesome. Okay. Second thing that we're doing well right now that we have been doing for a while is retirement appointments. Okay. This will surprise people, but like we are using email marketing and other sources to target data of state government employees, federal, not K through 12, individuals like professors at universities and stuff that are thinking about retirement. And then we are actually getting them on someone's calendar. We have multiple reps right now that are earning 30, 70, 100 grand a month just by running about 20 to 40 retirement appointments a month, right? That's another thing that is crushing it. Okay. They're $250 an appointment. They are not cheap. If you don't understand like how to sell annuities and IULs and that kind of stuff, or like speak the language, it's probably not the right fit. However, retirement appointments are crushing it for us. They've shocked me. They've surprised me, but everybody I talk to that's doing it is actually having really solid success. Okay. And that's hard to do in the marketing world, right? Because not every campaign is created equal. Not every individual is created equal, but retirement appointments are doing well. And the third thing that would probably be even more of the individuals that are on this is I have also been testing out some new lead options. And what we're doing something a little different is we're generating life insurance, final expense, and retirement leads. And I'm actually going on camera and I am saying, hey, before you buy life insurance, there's a cheat code that you may not be aware of, where if you don't pass away during the term, the insurance company will give you all of your money back. No questions asked. And I'm doing like a minute and a half, 2-minute video, and I'm putting these on social media platforms, and I'm driving leads inbound. And the actual video script is extremely transparent. There's no free this, gift cards this, state this, flag this. Like, it's just super like credibility, validity, and like super transparent, right, with what we're doing there. And then the ad copy for that kind of stuff for like the life insurance is click below for a life insurance quote today. Pretty transparent, right? After I say life insurance in the first 2 seconds. Then the final expense one, click below for a burial life insurance quote today, right? Or on the retirement one, the individuals that are responding for those retirement test leads, they are providing, they have a 401k, they have a household income of over 100K a year, and they have interest in a tax-free retirement, right? And they're actually giving us like what retirement strategies they're interested in, what they're currently doing retirement-wise, what strategies they like, whether they're holding cash or they have a 401k or whatever, and also what their primary source of income is. Okay, so as I'm sharing some of these are things that we're working on, that we're testing, that we're doing well. Okay, as Brett is going to jump in and clean my camera to help me out really quick. Get in there, brother. Make it look good. Okay, if that's better, put a yes in chat. And I think it's actually quite a bit better, by the way. Like, I am even sexier than I thought I was. Thank you, Brett. Give it up for Brett. Let's go, dude. That's why you need a team that freaking watches out for you, that takes care of you, and then makes sure that you look squeaky clean, you look good, you feel good, right? Okay, dude. Thank you, Brett, man. Right? And some of you'd be like, no. Like, you would be on camera or on video or something, and someone would walk in, you'd be like, no, don't interrupt me. Don't change anything. It's like, dude, if you can improve something, please improve it and just do it. Like, I'll roll with it. Right. And so I love that. Thank you, Brett. Okay. So those are things we're working on. Those are things we're doing. Toby, is there anything else that I'm gonna actually pull you in really quick? If that's cool, give me a thumbs up if that's cool. And I'm gonna actually pull you in really quick. What else are we doing that we are testing or having success with? Toby's our VP of marketing with Kiray Marketing, and Cody Askins. What else are we doing that is working or the agents need to know about that you want to share?
Yeah, the other thing we do really well is obviously websites. I mean, that's a big part of what an agent needs to be successful, is that presence. Because if you get a lead, you get a retirement appointment, you get something else, one of the first things that a lot of people will do is see if you're legitimate or not. It doesn't have to be this big, massive website. It doesn't have to be huge, 50, 100, 150 pages. Just a presence is what you need. Like, that's the other thing we do really well, is just get you that good professional looking presence. That's the other thing.
I love that. Well, and also too, on that note, actually moving over some of my team that's been helping with, like, video and branding, like our whole branding and social media and all that department is just going to get better too, which is awesome. Right. And so we're doing websites, social media management, videos, etc. So I think you actually added a link at some point that they could actually jump on and talk to us. Cool. Boom. I love it. Appreciate you doing that. Any other thoughts, Toby, that we failed to mention before we jump to our first?
On the retirement, I threw this in chat, but retirement, the big key to retirement appointments is they're guaranteed. We guarantee the sits. So this is not just a lead. If this person doesn't show up, then we'll replace it.
Cool. That's really cool. I love that. That's a huge key. Thank you for doing that. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that too. I appreciate that. Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up in the chat for Toby Roberts. Thank you, Toby. Anything else you want to add real quick?
Just shout out to Gavin. He did Gavin's website. He's shouting us out in the chat. We love Gavin. We appreciate him.
Dude, I love Gavin. He's awesome. Is it Cub Bear Insurance?
Yeah, Cub Bear.
Yeah. It's me, Gavin. It's like a cool, fun theme to what they got going on branding wise. I love it, man. That's cool. Okay. Well, I know it's all about leads and marketing. I want to continue to share things that we're doing. I want you to learn from other people on what they're doing. If you ever want to talk to me and my team, we're always available. I'm really heavy back in, not only promoting 8%, and everything we're doing there, but also really getting back involved in the testing and diving in of leads and marketing and helping you, the agent, get in front of more people. And I have not been nearly as involved in 4 years as I have been the last 4 weeks. And so I'm excited for that piece. Our first speaker, give me a thumbs up, Mr. Shawn, if you are ready to roll, ready for me to bring you in. Our first speaker is a serial entrepreneur, freaking real estate mogul, also jumps into insurance and has a ton of success getting in front of people and constantly selling a bunch of premium, and extremely impressive business-minded individual. Please welcome to the webinar, Mr. Shawn Simpson. What is up, Shawn?
What's up, Cody? Good to
Dude,
see you, man.
good to see you, brother. I appreciate you, everything you're doing.
I got a question for you. What is a legendary gangster?
Dude, that's a great question. I'm going to find an answer. If I had to make it up on the spot, I would say Shawn.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, I was asked to train on the leads and what I'm doing on the leads. So first off, I want to kind of back up a little bit, tell you a little bit about where I come from, what my story is. I come from the real estate background. I'm a real estate entrepreneur. I'm not an agent. I didn't want to be an agent just because I just felt like being an agent was too much selling, right? And too much working with clients. What I wanted to do is actually generate enough leads so that I can have sellers coming to me, and I would buy their house or I would wholesale their house. So what I did, I have 6 businesses in real estate. I have 3 holding companies that I partner with a couple other people with, and then I have my own. And then I also have a a company that I rehab houses in. And then I also have a company that is a construction company that does the rehabbing of the houses. And then, of course, I came to the financial services industry here in the insurance space with Family First Life. So, but I want to back up though. When I was first started in real estate, I had to generate my own leads, and I didn't know how to do it. I had to learn how to do it. And so eventually what I would do, once I got up and running, it took me a couple of years to figure it all out. But once I got up and running, what I would do is I'd pull a list. And I'd pull a list of about 10 to 15,000 houses of the criteria of the houses that I wanted to buy. In that list, I would then skip trace the list to get the phone numbers of all the people. Now, all those phone numbers may not be right, but I would get about 8 to 10 of those. Then I would give them to my virtual assistants. I had 3 of them at the time. 2 of them would just dial and dial and dial 8 hours a day. And they'd ask people, hey, do you want to sell your house? Do you want to sell your house? Do you want to sell your house? The third one would be texting back and forth, because at that time we could send out mass text messages. You can't do that anymore because of the laws that they changed for, all the carriers. But they would send out mass text messages, and whoever would respond, that VA virtual assistant would, respond back. So there was a lot of moving pieces in there. And I was just looking for those people that raised their hand that said, hey, I want to sell their house. On top of that, I had a marketing budget. And what I did for marketing was all in-house. And I would have church kids come over about 3 to 5 times a week, depending on what mailing piece we're sending out. And during that time, they would lick, stamp, and send about 5,000 mailers per week. Okay. Now I tell you all of this because that's the marketing background, and still doing that. That's about $10,000 to $15,000 a month I would spend on just marketing, so that I can buy anywhere from 3 to 6 houses a month, either rehab them, wholesale them, or hold them as a rental property. Okay. So in this business, when I found out that in my IMO, I can just buy leads, I was like, sign me up. Okay. Because we can do this business in 4 different ways. We can talk to friends, family, we can knock on doors, generate business that way. We can generate business by online generation, pay-per-click, social media ads. You can do it that way, or you can just pay somebody that already does that and is very good at that, like Cody, and his team, and you can just buy the leads. Now, why would you want to buy leads? Well, for one, this business, okay, let me back up again. In real estate, there was a lot of moving pieces, a lot of expenses, a lot of managing, a lot of time spent, right? Doing all of those pieces. And so in this business, there's me and I'm starting to generate a team now. I've been in the business for a year now, a little over a year. And what I do is I buy leads and I call them. It allows me to be more time efficient to where all I have to do is help families. I don't have to worry about generating leads. I don't have to worry about marketing pieces. Does this ad say this? Is this ad saying the right thing? All I have to do is buy the leads and work the leads, right? And so there's all different types with my IMO and other vendors outside the IMO. There are all different types of leads to work, right? You have your internet leads, you have your mailers, and you have your social media leads, you have your pay-per-click leads, right? Internet leads. And so what I like to do is just, when I train my new agents, I start them off and tell them, hey, you're just going to go through hell. Everybody does, right? For the first 90 days, it's like drinking water from a fire hose. You're going to absorb a lot of information, okay? And you're going to go through a learning process, right? And a lot of people where they fail in this business, first of all, this business is the easiest business to do, okay? It's a lot easier than real estate, let me tell you. But this business is the easiest business to do because all we're doing is talking to people. But mind you this, what's easy to do is easy not to do, okay? What's easy to do is easy not to do because all we're doing is talking to people, right? But as we work throughout the day, that's when our mind starts to take hold of us, right? You could go 6 hours and not have anybody answer the phone, or you could go 6 hours and people pick up the phone and they want to spit on you right through the phone. Or you can talk to people and go through a few presentations and they hang up on you, right? Now, mind you, there's a couple of different ways to work the business. I should probably talk about that as well. One of them is in-home. One of them is telesales. Me personally, I stick with all telesales. You can do in-home. In-home is great because when you go to set appointments, they're harder to set appointments, but when you get in the home, they're a lot easier to sell. They're a lot easier to help that family. If they tell you no, they're not going to kick you out of the house because they invited you in, right? But if you're on the phone doing telesales, it's a lot easier to set the appointment, but it's a lot harder to do the presentation because you don't have that face-to-face connection. You don't have that camaraderie. You don't have that, you're not feeling the spirit with the client, right? And so they can hang up on you and you're done. They're not going to pick up the phone again, right? So whether you do in-home or telesales, whatever you do, the biggest thing that you need to work on is yourself. And how you work on that is number one, your schedule, right? Because if your schedule is at peak performance, great, but that's not always going to work, right? If your schedule is like, I'm going to work from this time to this time, great, but life gets us, right? And things happen. But here's the reality. Most people get distracted, and that's why they don't work their schedule. I was telling you that this business is easy not to do as well. And that's where people mess up, is they schedule their time to work the business, to call the leads, to call the clients. But all of a sudden, they've gone 2 days. Let's say here's my schedule. I work from 8 o'clock in the morning. Well, let me be truthful. Sometimes I don't get on the phone at 8 o'clock. I'll get on the phone at 9 o'clock, right? And then I'll work to about 1 or 2, dialing, setting appointments for the evening because I'm working mortgage leads. And I usually set them from 5 o'clock till 9 o'clock at night, right? If I'm working Oregon or California or something on the West Coast, then in my time, I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, I'm in Central, so I can work a little bit later, sometimes 10 o'clock at night, which is 8 o'clock there, right? So that's my schedule, right? But if Monday through Saturday, I set that schedule, and all of a sudden I have 8 no-shows, or I'm calling people and they're not showing up, right? Let's say I'm calling final expense leads and nobody is showing up for the appointment. Nobody's picking up the phone. When they pick up the phone, my mind is stinking. My thinking is stinking, right? And I'm not getting across to anybody, right? I'm getting frustrated. If I'm that type of person that it's Wednesday now and 2 o'clock rolls around, my buddy calls up and says, hey, let's go out to lunch. Yeah, it's been a tough day, man. Let's do it. All of a sudden, remember, your schedule says you're going to come back to work at 5 o'clock and it's now 3 o'clock. You guys have another beer, another cocktail. All of a sudden 5 o'clock rolls around and you're like, you know what? Let's go shoot some pool. Let's go bowling. Let's go do this. If you're that type of person, this business isn't going to work for you. I'll just tell you straight up. And the reason why is because you're letting yourself down. But not only that, you're letting your family down, you're letting your friends down, and you're letting your community down, right? Because in all of that, there's one thing, there's one person, and that's you. Okay. So, but here on the flip side of that, if you're the person that says, you know what, I'll go have some lunch with you, but I got to be back at 5 o'clock. Okay. That tells your friend that you're a responsible person and you got a goal in mind, right? Come 5 o'clock, you step up and you start dialing again. No matter what happened 2 days before, no matter what happened in the morning, you're present, you're on the phone. That client is the only thing that you have going on in your mind. All the distractions are gone. All the blinders are on. And come 5 o'clock, you start dialing again. It's 8:55 at night. Nobody's picked up the phone. A couple of people have picked up the phone, but they hung up on you. And a couple of people spit on you through the phone, right? I didn't do that. I didn't fill that out. It's 8:55 at night. Are you the person that says, oh, I got 5 minutes left, I don't have time? Or are you the person that says, I need to make one more call, or I need to make 2 more calls? I'm going to tell you this, more times than not, I have made that last call and helped one more family, even though I'm having a crap day. Let me tell you a story real quick. True story. This happened 3 nights ago. I had set 6 appointments for, 4 nights ago, Tuesday. So it was Monday. I set 6 appointments for Monday. One of those appointments was not a solid appointment. I got another lead and it was a good quality lead. It was a high dollar lead. So I just called and set that appointment and I double booked myself that night. 7 o'clock, because I knew they weren't going to show up. So I run my appointments all day. 2 of them reschedule, like 3 of them don't even show up. 4th one, I run the appointment and I get to the end, they hang up on me, right? It's 9 o'clock. Now I look at the person that is on my schedule and I'm like, oh man, is this the way the day is going to go? Because this guy had no-showed me twice. The 3rd time he rescheduled. Okay, I had called him back again. He rescheduled. The 4th time was Tuesday night, 9 o'clock. I'm thinking, okay, this guy's going to no-show me. I'm just going to chalk this day up as done. But I didn't think that way. I said, okay, this guy, he's going to be there this time. He rescheduled on the 3rd time, and now he's going to be there. He needs this policy. And guess what? He picks up the phone. And he says, one of the first things he says to me, I tell him I'm Shawn Simpson, hey, just calling for the appointment. Wanted to make sure you got my credentials. Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to, we're probably going to save some time here. He says, I have a work policy already, so I don't think I need the coverage. He ended up buying a policy that's a CBO. He gets his money back. Okay. At the end of 20 years, which is going to allow him to pay off his mortgage about 10 years early. And that guy, that family wouldn't have been helped if I wouldn't have stayed persistent and working my leads, right? If I wouldn't have called late at night. I've called him during the morning, called him in the afternoon, twice, called him at night. There's tons of times where I called him, I couldn't get a hold of him, put him in my drip campaigns, put him in my text message campaigns, my email campaigns. Finally, I got a hold of him, scheduled the third appointment, then he rescheduled again. Now I built rapport with him again, scheduled the fourth appointment, and now his family is protected. I'm telling you, there are people out there that are only for you to protect. That's it. There's people out there waiting for you to call them because they need you to protect them. I don't know how it all works, but I strongly believe that. Okay. So how do I work my leads? If I'm a new person and I'm just getting into the business, how much do I need to spend? I tell all of my agents this: if you have $2,000, okay, because I don't know you when you first start, right? You may be a person that comes out the gate and runs like a racehorse, takes first place, right? But you may be that person that needs a little bit of nudging along the way, right? He needs that person in that horse race. He needs that horse right next to him that's right ahead of him so that it'll keep him to want to keep going, right? Maybe that's you. So I tell my people, you need $2,000. And once you have $2,000, chances are you'll never have to spend $1 again out of your own pocket to buy leads. Why? Because when you go buy leads, after spending about $2,000, you're going to get paid on some policies. Then you're just going to use the house money. You're just going to reinvest in your business. And that's what a business does. You got to have money to invest in, right? Especially getting it off the ground. But as you're going, you're going to reinvest into your business. Okay. You're going to take a portion of that money out. Now, if you're brand new to the business, never sold a policy, never helped a family, you're definitely going to want to put 100% right back in the business. Okay. Go buy more leads with that. Okay. 100% of it. Okay. And the reason why is this is the gas for the car. The leads are the gas for the car. If I asked you a question and I said, you know what? All of us, I guarantee you, 90% of these people on this call right now, on this Zoom, has been broke sometime in their life. I mean, I know I have. I have never lived in a car that broke. I'm sure there's people on here that have. But I can ask you this question, and I probably know the answer. When's the last time that you have never had $5, $10, some cash to put in the car to get you from point A to point B? You probably are thinking right now, you know what? I can't remember. It's been that long, right? That's okay. Check this out. Everybody has gas for the car, right? If you always have money for gas for the car, you're never going to go broke. Okay. Here in this business, the leads are the gas for the car. So when you first start off and you're practicing, you're going to buy cheaper leads. You're going to buy the leads that are 50 cents, $1, and you're going to buy a lot of them. Why? Because they're practice leads. They're going to help you practice your script. They're going to help you practice your rebuttals. They're going to help you practice when you get an objection, right? You don't want to go spend $80 on a lead when you don't know the rebuttals very well. You don't know how to say it. You don't know when to say it. You don't know what to say, right? You got to practice that, and you got to make it come off natural as you're talking, as you're having a conversation, right? So you're going to buy those cheap leads. And as you go through those, let's put it to you this way. You buy 100 cheap leads, 80% of those leads are probably going to not pick up. They're not going to be very nice on the phone. They're going to give you tons of objections. They're probably going to want to spit on you through the phone, right? If they could. 10% of those leads are going to be leads that are on the wall. They're going to be on the fence, right? They're going to be leads that are going to pick up the phone. They want the policy, but the credibility may not get there. They require a little bit of sales skills in order to push them over the fence to set an appointment with you or do a one-call close, right? That's where the skill comes in. The other 10% of those leads are probably raised their hand. They may set an appointment with you, but 5 out of those last 10 leads you may go through a presentation and the credibility is not quite there. They may hang up on you, right? And then 5 of those leads, maybe, the first start, maybe the other 4 of those leads may do the same thing, but maybe one of them you might sell that policy. Okay, you might help that family. But what if you don't? What have you gained? Out of those first 100 leads, what have you gained if you don't sell a policy or help a family get protected? You gain experience, you gain knowledge, you gained growth, right? Because now the next 100 leads that you buy are going to actually probably help you sell a policy. You're 100% better than you were on the first 100 leads. Okay, you have practice, you have experience, you have knowledge, and hopefully you have a team to support you. Okay, that's the biggest thing, is you want to have a team to support you to where you can go to ask questions right away, right? That's how you learn fastest. If you do Zoom calls with other people, make sure you unmute. Okay, so the next 100 leads you buy, now you may sell one policy. Maybe you help that one family, maybe help 2. Even better, right? But what if you don't? You're still 100% better than what you have, what you gained. And you may not think you are, but you are. You've gone through the practice, you've gone through the rebuttals, you've gotten farther into the presentation if you've gotten them. Okay, so you're much better on the second 100 leads than you are on the first 100 leads. But maybe you're not to that point yet where you've helped that family or found that right person. Because when you do find that right person, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. On the flip side, you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. Okay, so then you buy another 100 leads and maybe you help another family. And maybe you help 2 families, right? The first few families that you help get protected, you're going to want to take 100% of that and put it right back into your business and fill up the car with gas. Okay. If you've bought leads, you still have some cash there, leave it there. Okay. You want to keep doing that until you start to build a consistency. When you start to build a consistency, now you start to building a ratio, a batting average, right? You could be a Hall of Fame baseball player and only hit 3 out of 10. Pretty cool, right? Same way with me. I didn't do that when I first started. I hit Hall of Fame here in 10 months of last year, but I went through the learning curve too. That was just one year ago. And I did the same thing, but here's the reality. There's a learning curve for all of this. Okay. You can take that learning curve and you can drag it out over a year, and come 6 months, 9 months, you may be one of those people that say, you know what, this business isn't for me. But that's because you dragged it out so long. That's because you didn't go through that learning curve. When the brain wants to work, you got to put all the knowledge into there. Sometimes this business can be a little bit boring. You're saying the same thing over and over and over and over again, right? But it's like yin and yang, right? You're saying it over and over and over again. It gets a little boring, but that's what makes you a master of your craft right there, because you're saying it over and over and over again. So by doing that, you become a master. You become better at your craft. You go through the struggles, you fail forward, and you master failing forward, because as you fail, you learn. If you were to sell a policy on your first time you called and help a family, chances are you didn't really learn much from that policy. But if you went through a whole presentation, you probably learned a lot more, 10 times more than what you would have learned if you wouldn't have sold that policy, or if you would have sold that policy. Okay, so do the business, work the leads. Oh, by the way, work in the leads. So the way I do it is, when I first started with final expense, we all start our agents on final expenses if we're talking about life insurance here. And the reason why we start on final expense is simply because we want you to learn the health conditions, the prescriptions, right? With final expense, you're learning all of that because you're working with people that are 50, 60, 70, 80, right? They're looking for final expense, burial, cremation. They want to make sure that their family doesn't have to have a financial burden if something were to happen to them. Okay. As we get older, obviously we're on more medication. So, excuse me. So you'll learn more of that faster. Once you learn that, then we kind of move you over to mortgage protection, or life or term, right? Because then you're younger and you have less health conditions, and you kind of give yourself a raise, because sometimes you can sell a couple policies on one appointment because you're dealing with husband and wife, right? You can do that with final expense as well. You know, it just doesn't happen as much or as often as it should. So when I'm calling my final expense leads, I buy 100 of them. The way I used to do it was I would run in-homes. That's what I started on. So I would dial on Monday, and all I would focus on is dialing. Okay. On Thursday, all I would focus on is dialing. Monday and Thursday. I set appointments for Tuesday and Wednesday on Monday, Friday and Saturday on Thursday. Okay. Because you don't want to have to go back and forth, especially when you're learning. You want your brain to get in deep focus on just setting appointments. And then when you're running your appointments, you want your brain to get into deep focus on presenting. Okay. And so when you're calling your leads to set appointments for Tuesday and Wednesday, there's 100 leads. I would buy 100 on on Sunday for Monday, and then on Wednesday night for Thursday to get ready. I'd wake up. At that point, I'd be on the phone at 8 o'clock, and I would work until 1 o'clock. I'd try to get 15 appointments for the next 2 days by 1 o'clock. If I didn't, then I'm coming back at 5 o'clock and I'm working until I fill my schedule. Okay. And the way I worked them is I wouldn't call 100 leads right off the bat. I would dial 25 of them. I'd batch them out in 25. And I'd say, okay, I'm dialing these 25 3 times in a row, not leaving a phone message. And then what I'm going to do is move on to the next lead. 3 times in a row, hang up, move on to the next lead. 3 times in a row, hang up, move on to the next lead. I go through all 25 of those. Okay. Then what I do is I go through all those 25 again. Then what I do when I'm done with that 25 is I go through them all again, this time on the last call, the 9th call. Usually it's within about 2 to 3 hours. On the 9th call, then I'm sending a text message. Okay. And if I have their email, I'll send them an email too. So now I'm hitting them 3 ways. Okay. And then I'm going to sit there, and if they wait, then I'm moving on to my next batch of 25 leads. But why do I do that? Ask yourself, what's the intention of calling your leads? What's the answer to that question? My intention of calling my leads wasn't to sell them a policy, wasn't to help the family. It was to get them to pick up the phone. Simple as that. Because if they pick up the phone, then I could talk to them. If I can talk to them, I have a higher chance of getting them an appointment. And if I can get an appointment, I can get a presentation. Okay. And then I can possibly help and protect their family in home. Okay. So, any question? Well, if there's any questions that you guys have, I'm all finished up here, but if there's any questions that you guys have, you can reach me. I'm going to give you my phone number. Let me put it in the chat. Actually, is that a better idea, Cody?
That's great. Actually, if you want me to put it, I can.
Yeah, go ahead. And then my Instagram as well.
Just put your cell phone.
Yep.
402-253-5774.
Yeah.
And then I've got your email as well right here, ShawnSimpson.ffl@gmail.
Yeah.
Perfect. Is there anything else you wanted to add there too?
Yeah, just my Instagram.
Perfect. That was
__ Shawn Simpson. I'm sorry, __ Shawn _ Simpson.
Nice. Perfect.
Thanks, Cody. Thanks for having me on, bro.
Thank you. Amazing job. Appreciate it. We got a lot of good feedback from the chat on training. I know we'd have a ton of questions, but I appreciate you being on and appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cody.
Thank you, Shawn. Phenomenal job. Give it up for Mr. Shawn Simpson in the chat. Appreciate him joining and being a part of this virtual training webinar on marketing and leads on an amazing Friday. I love doing these on the Friday so that we can get y'all thinking over the weekend and thinking about what you can do next week to improve your business. Look at that. What is up, Connie? Tricia, George, Matt, Henry, Melissa, and Dana. Thank you for being on and for commenting and engaging. Kevin's like, dude, I'm fired up, man. Right, about ready to get up and get going and selling insurance. I love that. I appreciate that. Dana with the 8. I love that as well. What is up, Carrie? Okay. Thank you, Shawn. I'm going to go right into our next speaker. Again, this is all about leads and marketing. Okay. So be making sure you get your questions answered. Make sure you're paying attention. You're taking notes. You're following some of our guest speakers as well online. Reach out to them, get some help. Like, they are here to help you, right? They love the industry. They're passionate and they are here to help you. Our next speaker is someone that has built an incredible agency with really a focus on Medicare specifically, and helping. He's got a ton of agencies helping all over the country. Someone that did an amazing job on our Power Player podcast recently. Please welcome to our webinar, Mr. Ty Brady. What is up, Ty?
Oh, Cody, thanks for having me on today. And, these always make me nervous, but I always seem to manage and get through. So, I had to do a last minute shift because I think I missed we're going to call this title of this presentation, Bleed the Lead. But I think it's important for everyone to understand, my background and where I came from. So, first of all, I grew up with 8 sisters and 2 brothers. I am from Utah. Yes, that is from one mom, one dad. And yes, I am a man of faith. So I am religious, but I have 5 kids and I love what I do. But, growing up as a kid, my mom was always about the one that pushed me to dream. She was always the dreamer. She was very optimistic. And, we are a product of our environment, but yet we can also change our environment. And my dad was the hardest working man I knew, because with 8 sisters and 2 brothers, he would go to do his day job. He was a maintenance engineer. And then what he would do is come home and then do additional work for people, building decks, building houses, whatever he could do to make a living. So when I look back at my childhood, I look at what the environment that I grew up in, and I'm a product of my environment. My mom was always said, you have to have a big dream. And she would never let us talk negative and say that we're not capable of doing anything. So I took the traditional path of, hey, I'm going to go to high school. I'm going to go to college, got a bachelor's degree in applied science and industrial design, and did really well. I ran a $33 million construction company for about 10 years. And then 07, 08 happened. And obviously everyone knows what happens there. I got my last paycheck the week before Thanksgiving. And my house that I was in was illegally foreclosed. And I was out of my house in April. And here I am, 2 kids. And the reason I'm going to tell you about this is because it's all going to tie back into, we're going to talk about, you have to have desire and passion in this business. And if you have that, you'll succeed in whatever industry you're in. But so when I lose everything without a paycheck, that next year I worked 17 different jobs. Because I couldn't get a job with my previous industry. I was making $180,000 a year with bonuses. I thought I'd never leave, had my dream house on the golf course. And, that rug was ripped out from underneath me. Now, whether it's a choice you make to have a career change or whether it's forced, it really doesn't matter. It's what you do on the backside that will propel you to move forward. So I lose my house and I had to make a call to my parents and say, hey, my parents have a big house, 8 sisters, 2 brothers. And I said, hey, do you mind if I live with you for a little while? Now, of course, as a father, and that ripped my heart out. It felt like I had failed. The whole purpose is to support your family and help your kids, grow up and put a roof over their heads and food in their mouth. And my mom's like, sure. I think she liked it more than my wife did. And I had to live with my mom and dad for 4 years as I rebuilt and had to, climb out of where I was. Keep in mind, I was out of job and out of paycheck. And I was used to making a certain amount of income. So luckily, one of my previous vendors that I did business with was a vinyl fence company, actually all kinds of fencing. And they said, hey, Ty, we'll give you a shot, straight commission. They threw me out there. And about a year in, I had a guy tell me about this industry, the insurance industry in particular. And he was all about the senior market, about baby boomers turning 65. And I worked for that gentleman for about a year and realized it wasn't a good fit. So what I'm going to say right here is that partner with somebody it's a good fit with. And, you know, Cody mentioned earlier that he gets complaints. Oh, it's my upline. It's this, it's all these excuses, right? Find someone who's going to partner with you and mentor you. I partnered with Kellogg Insurance Marketing as an upline, as my contracting house. And then it took off from there. So for 5 years, I worked part-time. So I would go out and bid a bunch of vinyl fence jobs or fencing jobs. And in that, I would have to say, okay, if I had 20 bids, I would close 5 of them. It was just the ratios. So I would get my 20 bids done as fast as I could. And then I would go and sell insurance. And how I would do that is I had a game plan. And my game plan was this. I said, hey, I have to do an hour of phone calls every day, whether that's to existing clients, whether that's to my leads, whether that's to referral partners, other insurance agents that don't do what I do. I wanted to talk to as many people as I could and give them my elevator speech. Hi, my name is Ty Brady. I specialize in helping people aging into Medicare or already on Medicare. Do you have somebody who helps you with that? And what I found out is if they did, that's great. You know, then I tried to get them, hey, do you want to come and work with me? That was an option. Number 2 was if they didn't, then would they want to partner with me to get referrals, right? And then the last one was, it was somebody that had a book of business, like an insurance professional, a CPA. Do they have a family member that wants to cross-sell that book? And that was the approach I made with those 20 calls and consumers. And then my goal was, I wanted 3 appointments a day, 15 appointments a week, because I know out of that, again, how many I would close. So I knew my numbers. So I would dial for an hour. I would do 150 direct mail pieces. And what that is, it was a personalized letter that said, hey, my name's Ty Brady. Again, telling people who I am and what I do with a little bit of bio, just getting as many things out there as I could so that it was just happening. So and then I would run my appointments. And then in between my appointments, I would have people that I could not get on the phone. So when I say bleed the lead, if you order, back in the day, I would get a 3. Oh, by the way, I got a little ahead of myself, get so excited. I am a very large FMO in the Medicare space. I have 800 direct agents. I assist in training 3,000 to 5,000 agents every year. And I've just finished up with a 3-day conference here in Salt Lake City where we had over 300 agents here. And 45 states. So that's a little bit about me. And I've been in the industry 13 and a half years. But that game plan that I set up is what was crucial, because it was the discipline. Now and then on the back end of that is, so I knew I had to have 3 appointments a day. I had to have 15 appointments a week. And how I did that was calling on the phone and direct mail in the beginning. So what those things did is there was something that was always getting mailed out. And what is interesting to me is people would hang on to my letter for probably 6-9 months that I mailed previously because they weren't ready to make that call. But when they made that call from that personalized letter, it was a done deal. I mean, make sure I could tell you some things about making sure it's in color. Make sure you tell them you're a local agent. Make sure you tell them it doesn't cost them any money to use an agent. Just some things that I learned over time to get more leads. I did a lot for, I did a lot of direct mail in the beginning because the lead response was 3 to 4%. If anybody's done direct mail recently, it's about 1.2 to 1.8, depending, sometimes a little less, especially if you're doing a turn in 65 mailing, the response is a little less. But I knew what my numbers were. And then there was days, like the gentleman said earlier, I would go all week, blank, 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 blank. And then on Friday, I'd close 9 deals. It was amazing. So I would work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday was my cleanup day. And keep in mind, if somebody porched me with a preset appointment, then I would go stop by all the people that I had a lead card on and stop by and see if I could get them. And I chose to work rural areas. Sometimes I drive 3, 4, or 5 hours away from my home to get a hold of these people where maybe somebody didn't go and touch these folks. What I learned is in those rural areas on Fridays, they're typically checked out at 1 o'clock and they're going into town to buy their groceries, and Saturdays. So Fridays and Saturdays were bad unless they had a preset appointment. But Monday through Thursday was awesome, especially after 5 o'clock. Those rural areas, they were home and I would always catch them. Now, when I mean bleed the lead, so out of, let's say I get 10 leads back. 3 of those people that that 10 leads, if I call them before anybody else does, it's a done deal. Remember, they solicited me. I didn't solicit them. So it's my job to ask the right questions on why they sent the lead card in. Are they worried about paying off their house and leaving something to their wife to deal with? So she has to become a bag lady. You know, what was that, right? So if I get right on those leads and 3 of them are going to do business with me if I get them before somebody else. Now, any type of lead that I did with direct mail was exclusive to me, meaning it went from the lead house to the consumer's mailbox and then back to me. Now, it didn't mean that they didn't turn three other lead cards back with a different vendor. So it was crucial for me to get a hold of them quickly. The other 3, so there's the first 3 that are going to do business with you if you get on the lead. The next 3 are the tire kickers. They're going to answer the phone. They're going to tell you that their dog died. Now's not a good time. So you got to be able to overcome objections. They're going to tell you they didn't send the lead card in. I thought you'd send it to me in the mail. Whatever the objection is, you got to be ready. So with the objection, make sure, keep in mind, we've all been to objection school and we know how to overcome them. And the first objection is just a smoke screen. So I got to get past it. And they take a little bit more time to develop and get that appointment because yes, something interested them in the lead, but yet they're really not convinced that they need it yet. So getting that appointment takes a little bit more work. Now, the other 4, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you dial them 10 times a day. I don't care if you text them, they will never get back with you unless you go to the door. And I'm telling you, I loved going to the door. I mean, there was times on the lead card, someone reads back to the lead card and they're like, SB, what does that stand for? I'm like, well, I stopped by. What is no answer, right? No, NA, what does that mean? And they're like, well, there's a lot of notes on here. I said, yeah, I've got 35 little notes on there, wanted to make sure that I got a hold of you and gave you the information you requested. So bleed the lead. And I have the mentality that they're buying or dying. So if they're not dead, they're buying. So, and I had to have that mindset. My back was up against the wall. I didn't want to go home and face my wife saying, hey, I didn't make any sales today, even though that, I didn't want to have to do that. And one of the things that we talk about is you need to have a desire or a passion for what you do. Whether you like life insurance, whether you like annuities, whether you like retirement planning, it doesn't matter. Insurance is a tremendous industry. And one of the things that helped my defining moment was this. And if you listen to my podcast with Cody, you may hear this. When I had lost everything and I'm living with my parents and we'd been there for a little while. My daughter was 7 or 8 at the time. By the way, now she's insurance licensed and she's in the business. But she said, Dad, when can we move back into our old house? And that carried with me for a long time. And the other thing was I'd go home and I'd tell my wife, are we going to be okay? And she's like, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. I made a decision that day when my daughter asked, when can we move back into our old house? That I would never let somebody control my destiny again. Never, ever, ever would I allow that to happen. Now, another one I'm going to share with you is if I said, hey, I'm going to offer you $100 to walk this plank for 20 yards, 1 foot off the ground, would you do it? And I think most of you on the call would 100% say yes. Now, let's say that's up to that. There's a building and another building. It's the same 20 yards, same plank, and I said to you, would you walk across from point A to point B 200 feet in the air? Now ask yourself that question, ponder that for a minute. Would you do that? And I think a lot of you are saying, would I do that? Well, now let's put another thing in there. If that building was on fire and your kids are on the other side, you're going to do what? You're going to do whatever it takes. You're going to sacrifice birthdays. You're going to sacrifice time at home. You're going to sacrifice money. You're going to blood, sweat, and tears to do whatever it takes. And that's the passion and the desire that you need to find. I found mine with the statement my daughter gave me. You guys have to find yours. Guys, this industry is so wonderful and so tremendous. Cody's talking about all the lead generation he's been able to create on social media and Google and all those things. Guys, it's the largest generation of wealth, baby boomers, 12,000 baby boomers turning 65 a day in this country. We all work that same industry. They are needing help. They want help. They need good agents. It's such a tremendous industry. I don't care what you do. And in my industry, that 12,000 people turning 65 a day in this country, that's $6 million in commissions for grabs every single day. I mean, that's the power of what we do. It's going to trend for the next 17 years. It dips a little bit and then it picks right back up. I don't know of a greater industry that you could be in. Now, some lead types. I talked a lot about direct mail. I did direct mail because that's what was available at the time. And to be honest with you, I worked leads that agents put in the trash that said they were no good. One other tip is dial the lead twice. What I mean by that is they don't pick up the first time, hang up and dial right back. I personally would not leave a message. There was times that I called the lead 10 times and somebody would say this. Ty, they would be like, who is this? Well, this is Ty Brady, and I'm calling with the information you requested about Medicare. You have a few minutes. And then all of a sudden they deflate, right? But keep in mind, they solicited me. I did not solicit them. It's my job to get the information they requested, going back to bleed the lead. Some types of other things you can do besides direct mail. I talked about referral partners. I have agents that network with dental offices. I have agents that network with CPAs. I have agents that take people off of group. I have people that work with tax advisors, attorneys, mortgage guys, disability attorneys. And what's interesting is these things have been talked about for a long time, but you have to find what you're willing to do and you're willing to work. So you have direct mail. You have personalized mailings with the direct mail. You have Google, social media. Cody's really good at it. I'm telling you, I tried doing the G2 certification with Google, and I'm telling you, it's a pain. I'd rather pay somebody to do it. What's interesting to me is I help an agent, make some money. And then I said, hey, reinvest in yourself, right? The guy said, Shawn said earlier, you've got to reinvest that money that you make. And what better investment can you make than buying leads for yourself? And it's interesting how people won't do that. And I'm like, okay, well, then you can get a name and a number and you can get those leads. They're harder to convert. They're going to get bloody and beat up. And then over time, you can buy more high quality leads. I mean, I have leads that with all my agents that don't cost them anything. I have leads that are $100. Cody has leads that are $250 on the financial service side. So there are so many options out there with social media. I believe data and texting is where the industry is going, meaning who owns the data and who has the ability to text. Most seniors don't engage over email, but if you can get them to opt in to a lead card or a landing page where you're able to text them, that's where you can communicate to them quickly and efficiently. And I know the other guy said he was in the real estate world where he's not allowed to text, but you have to find ways to think outside the box and get them to opt in, whether you're doing a giveaway, a raffle, saying, hey, enter to win this free TV. And then when they click that box, they've opted into text. There's all kinds of ways to do it. Cody, like I said, Cody's been really instrumental in figuring out Google. Google, you have to manage day in and day out. And it's well worth it with all of these different strategies. You can do your own social media advertising, whether it's on LinkedIn, TikTok, Pinterest, I can't remember, Lemon, all these different platforms. They all work, but it takes time, money, and energy. And here's the deal. Are you going to spend the time or spend the money? Or are you going to do both? So you need to decide with your game plan, 15 appointments a week, or do I need to work like I have a teacher. He teaches the entrepreneur class in Gresham High School. He's 35 years old, and he was able, man, I'm running out of time. He was able to work Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. He built and got 900 policies in 2.5 years, just moved into a $1.5 million ranch house with him and his wife, got his wife out of her nursing job because she was chasing people across scaffolding at a psychiatric ward 20 feet in the air, trying to get them back in the building, and said, nah, we're not doing that anymore. But whatever time that you allow or that you have or willing to sacrifice, that's real important. At that burning building, there's kids on the other side. Are you going to do whatever it takes? Do you want to take back your financial future? Do you want to build a legacy? It's all there for the taking. You have to want to make it happen. With this, let me wrap it up. I got so many things. By the way, thank you all for being on this call today or this Zoom meeting and taking the time for self-care. If those of you have been on an airplane, what do they say? Put your own oxygen mask on first before you help somebody else. That is so true. And you are all inspiring because you're here. You're taking that time for self-care. And I know that I'm going to pull a little bit of information from everybody here on this call, but we're unified together, right? And those baby boomers need help. They all need help, whatever industry you're in. We are there to help. We get paid to serve. We get paid because we protected their family with mortgage protection. We get paid because we gave them a retirement plan. That's how we get paid. I do not know of a greater industry out there. If there is, please tell me. But I am so gracious and grateful for all of you being here. Cody, you're awesome. Thanks for partnering up with me and for all things we've been able to do. We'll keep it going. And for the previous speaker and the other two that are here to come. I'll put Cody, do you have my number to put in the chat?
Yep, I got you.
I prefer to do things or phone call. So please text me and then set up a time to talk and see if there's a game plan that we can come together with. Somebody in the chat, I think, asked if I'm in Oregon. Yes. The states that I am not in are up there in the upper portion of where New York is. I think like Maine, Rhode Island, a couple of those. But if I need to get them, I will. So reach out to me. Love to chat. And Cody, back to you, my friend.
Dude, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Ty Brady. Dude, I appreciate what you're doing. Love what you're doing. I appreciate you jumping on and being with us. That is his cell phone right there, 801-347-2087. And I love it. What's up, Shawn? What's up, Joey? Dana. We have some amazing speakers. 2 to go. We won't end up taking the whole 4 hours, but I'll end up wrapping it up at the end with some more leads and marketing chat. Also appreciate Toby doing that. Our team spends the time every day to monitor and improve Google campaigns. If anyone's in the Medicare or final expense, our team is ready to help. And he actually put a link directly to schedule with our team. Also, once you talk to our team and you're like, hey, dude, I've got some budget, I want to do business, and they find some stuff, like Toby or I are also happy to jump on calls when it's necessary to help out. I recently sent an email out with a quick strategy call link. And I think I've had like 100 strategy calls booked in like the next week, 15 minutes each. So I'll end up on the phone with some of you that at least are on our email list, I guess, or follow our channel or whatever, or follow me on Instagram. We end up putting a lot on Instagram. Ty mentioned his Instagram. Shawn mentioned his Instagram earlier. Ty's is Brady Insurance Marketing is his main Instagram. You can follow mine at Cody.Askins. If you're not doing that, please do that. I'm almost to 100,000 followers on Instagram, and we're constantly putting out, I think we put out like 4 short reels yesterday just on Instagram. So I believe in social media. I believe in branding. I believe in having a great website. I believe in landing pages. I believe in putting your message out. And I believe in really trying to build something special. You'll also notice about each of these two is like they believe in growing, scaling, right? Eventually delegating and helping others along the way once they find success. Our next speaker is someone that is helping consumers with all lines of insurance, even insuring exotic cars while probably insuring his own exotic cars along the way. Please welcome from St. Louis, Mo, not too far from us, a PNC super legend gangster, Steve Ludwig. What is up, Steve? Welcome to the webinar.
Cody, thank you for having me.
Dude,
Thank
appreciate you, man. Thank you for being here. Excited for you to be here. I love what you're doing. Thank you for all the stuff you're doing with us. I'm excited for all these agents to learn from you. Also get to see you speak live at 8% on stage, which is going to be amazing. So let's turn it over to you. And you got 20 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Steve Ludwig. Thank you, brother.
All right, guys. So obviously I'm what I'm going to call the black sheep, the standout of the crowd, a little different. But ironically enough, my entire background actually started in the final expense market. I was what was known, I'm sure as many of you know, as a debit agent. I go knocking on somebody's door, do the two-step shuffle, look them, and walk in. And, this is back in a day where we didn't have social media. We didn't have all the resources and things that we have nowadays. To a certain part, I'm envious of that. And I'm also thankful of that because I was able to come up with things from a time period where, I went into this and I didn't have much money. To just kind of give you a background of this whole deal. I started, if all of you guys know of Rent-A-Center, if you don't know anything about it, you basically like rent equipment, TVs, anything that you can possibly imagine. I don't even know if they have that around anymore, but in St. Louis, they have it's called Rent-A-Center. And I had started in the life insurance business after a very serious near fatal car accident that I was in where I was hit by a drunk driver. And I could get into a whole nother story of that whole thing. But with that being said, I gambled $150 that my grandmother gave to me as a gift for my birthday to become an insurance agent. And I went to a dog and pony show, basically, for a man that is still a very big mentor for me through Primerica. And I got kind of started in that space. So I gambled at $150. And that was at the time where if you gave 150, they would give you 150. So however many weeks that equaled out, it happened to be 6 weeks total. And during that 6 weeks, I had to figure out how I was going to sell enough to be able to pay for the computer that I didn't have really the money to have to begin with. Well, long story short, advance time there. Within 3 weeks, I was told by my manager at the time that he had never seen somebody sell so much insurance in their life. And I ended up qualifying and winning a computer that eventually I took, and I have that, well, no longer today, but I had that to be able to to move forward. But what I was wanting to say with, like I said, the whole black sheep thing, right? Being a standout among the crowd, how many different people in this, in the insurance space, they're Jack or Jill of all trades. They don't specialize in anything. It's like, if you look at like the general doctors along, like in your town, in your community, how many general doctors are there? And then how many foot specialists? How many, like psychologists? How many different dermatologists? You notice that number goes down significantly with that. And you're a standout among the crowd with those things. So, specializing in this is super, super important with that, to be the expert in your field. Now, I'm also known, a lot of people might know online as Mr. Insurance. That started from a combination of a couple of different things. I used to be called the insurance man when I would walk up to that. That's how I would respond to people. And then it turned into my wife saying, okay, Mr. Insurance, you know everything. And so that's how it ended up coming about. But we used to do different things. It was, again, no social media. It was all table appointments. And, nowadays, if you would do that kind of stuff, I mean, there's a pretty good chance that you might be shot. Just in the world that we live in today, people are not as accepting as, for somebody to maybe come into their house. There's a bigger process with that. You have to establish a level of trust with people, a friendship with people, to be able to, ultimately gain that sale. So times they've changed, and a lot of people have not adjusted with that change. Now everything, like, look at the emergence of like Amazon. If you look at, eBay, you look at, Uber Eats or DoorDash, you look at the Ubers of everything in the world. And what has come about is really convenience. And it's no surprise that those are some of the top companies in the entire world. And it's because they have become a standout. They have taken a need and they have met that need. And that's exactly what we need to be doing as advisors, is that we need to be doing this as advisors to be able to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our customer and trying to be able to guide them into that decision. So, as a couple of other guys like Shawn and Ty had mentioned, buying leads online, when that came about, I jumped on that as quickly as I could on that, because I was able to pay for somebody to do what they did. And that they're the experts in, they're able to generate that lead. And then, I essentially can pay for somebody to cut the grass, and I can make $2,500 an hour, as opposed to paying somebody $250 an hour to cut my grass. We have a big property. So, but with that being said, we want to try to be able to delegate and make the most use of our resources, make the most use of our time. And you really can't be cheap about it. It's like, we all want things cheaper and faster and everything else, but really, what is it that's the common saying out there is that, you get what you pay for, right? So if you were able to know, like Shawn with Cody, he had mentioned he had a $250 lead that you essentially, you can make $2,500 or whatever it was on there. I mean, that's a no-brainer to me. You get what you pay for. You got an interested prospect that you don't have to go chasing around. You identify that person immediately, and then you're able to get right into the process. Now, a lot of people, when they get into this process of selling, they have what I call sales breath, right? Or commission breath. And that is that they're so hungry for the money that they forget to really warm up with the customer. They forget to be able to really, get to know that customer. And my next thing that I would say to you is that with your customer, how many of you could ramble off 10 customers' names? Could you tell me what their wives' names are? Could you tell me what their kids' names are? And if you can't, that's a big problem. You're not taking enough time to be able to get to know your customer, to listen to the needs. We are advisors and, not salespeople. We are supposed to be listening to what that person is telling us that they need and meeting the needs of that particular person. And that is, how we're able to pull that in. I guess I ran everybody off over here. So with what we want to do when we have the leads, when they come in there, you want to bring it into some sort of a funnel system. Okay. And the reason being with that is because you want to be able to take and you want to be able to maximize out what that customer is. You want to be able to maximize the marketing opportunities to it. Okay. And so you want to be able to remarket. I don't know if you've ever seen, like, if you would go out online and you go out online and you have it to where you're looking for something. Let's just say you're out on eBay or something like that, and then later on that ends up showing up, that same pair of boots. Let's say you were looking for boots. Those people, that it shows up later on, that same company, but it says, hey, we have a new offer for you. the element of surprise is huge. You know, the curiosity killed the cat, right? If that, you know, it's an old saying. And the person will respond to that in that remarketing to give you another at bat. So if you're not able to get in touch with that person, this is where that automation can really start moving on the lead for you so that you can be able to delegate your time appropriately. Now, I've used virtual agents and or virtual assistants and things in the past, specifically more in my health insurance days. But with all that being said, it really just comes down to the same topic of making the most out of your time and being able to, you know, stay in touch with that customer. So one of the things that I do in my sales process when I get a customer on the phone is I ask questions to make them say yes to me. I say, is this your date of birth? Okay, that makes you this many years young. And is this your address? And you're from, oh my gosh, you're from, you know, LA or something, you know, oh yeah, have you been watching the playoffs? I try and find a center ground between me and the customer. And I found that like activities or sports or whatever, like for me, that's my background. So like, that's where I connect with pretty easily. And I get to know the person as a friend. This becomes a very, very, very specific thing, because what happens is that you are establishing that connection with the person. So as a part of my sales process, I have 10 parts of this thing, right? So the first part is the warm up. You're going to warm up with that customer. You're going to get to know them. Then I'm going to tell you what we're going to call the friend zone. Okay. You're going to put that customer into the friend zone where you're going to talk to them and, you know, get to know them again a little bit more, find out some of their needs. You're going to go into the third thing, which is you're going to take control of that customer, right? If I say to like, you know, hey, Cody, can you turn your microphone up? Or, hey, you know, can you run real quick and grab me a glass of water? Do you mind doing that? Your first answer to that is no, I don't have a problem with doing that. But if I said, go get that for me, it's a totally different delivery than if I'm asking a rhetorical question and that person wants to do that for me. So delivery of that is huge, and fact finding is absolutely imperative. And we really need to spend a lot more time on that. Now, the fourth part of that, the fifth part of that is going to be quoting, right? So you go through quoting, you're finding out. I used to say in the life insurance stuff, how much are you worth? And I'd say like, how much, if your wife and I, or if your husband and I, we were going to talk, how much would they say you're worth? And it was just kind of a joking sort of thing, but you would really get to know like what that person had and what they needed. And you were listening to what that customer was telling you to be able to get you to arrive at that number. You say, hey, look, you know, we're going to get you a little bit more, but you're going to have more coverage here, which is what you actually need. So anybody can come in there and they can give you the cheapest quote. But at the end of the day, we want to identify what we need to cover here, because if we're not identifying what you need to have covered, at the end of the day, what does it matter if you had the cheapest coverage or not if it didn't cover anything? Right. And this is no different in auto insurance or any other line of insurance or sales really in general. And then, like I said, you get to the next part, which is scaling. And you find out, again, where that customer's hot zone is. You start playing the high-low game by asking questions of that. Then you get into the decision. Okay. And so getting into the decision, if you've asked the right questions, if you've taken people out of the scenario, like, you know, is anybody else helping you with this? Are you trying to do this today? You're taking bullets out of the equation. The decision should be pretty easy to be able to maneuver into, because at that point in time, well, that you've done everything that you're supposed to do, and they really don't have any other reason to tell you no, unless they either one, don't like you, or two, they don't have the money for that. But I'm a believer, if you have a need for it, all we got to do is we got to figure out what part of that. So this is where I start using a 50-50 on my close, is where I'll say to a customer, you know, hey, if I was able to split this thing in half, if they're, you can tell that the person is squirming a little bit about the price. If I was able to cut this in half, would that change anything for you? And then find different finance options to be able to get that person to where they need to be, or try to be able to appropriately put them into like where I'm going to call a starter, and then prove it to them, gain more of their trust, and then bring them up really to the level that they need to be. Hey, let's start out, and you know, I'm going to relate this to life insurance. Let's start out with, you know, $100,000 worth of coverage today. We know that you really need to have 300,000, but let's start out with 100 because something's better than nothing, right? And then we'll kind of take a stair step process from there. And then after that, you want to work on the cool down, right? And the cool down is probably one of the most important part of that. And when I'm cooling down with somebody, I start talking to them about the resources. I say, hey, I'm going to roll out the red carpet for you guys. I have different staff member, team members that are in play that are going to help you guys out. So we're rolling the red carpet out for you. You're not going to talk to me directly. If you have a question about this, you need something changed, this is who you're going to call. I call this fencing. Okay. And I fence in that person and I start establishing boundaries. You know, I'm not going to be available at this particular time, but here's who I have that is at this particular time. Because again, I'm making the most of my resources, and I'm going to be able to make sure that that customer knows that, hey, you know, I don't do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, though in my mind I do. That's not really healthy, and people know that, and they can understand it. And anyway, what ends up happening is that this person will they'll respect you because of that. So then the last part, and this is probably the most important part of this, is the social media referral. And this is what I have found that I've gotten more business out of than anything with this today, is you get done with this, and most people will be on social media nowadays, and you just say, hey, would you like to become friends on social media? And would you mind just putting something out on my page, my business page, if you're uncomfortable with on a personal level? You are, you go and you have where you're talking to this person and you're saying, hey, you know, I'd like to be friends with you. I want to be a part of your life. I want to know about you more than just selling you some kind of insurance product. I want to see, you know, your achievements in life, and I want to support you in other things as you do. I do a lot of business with a lot of the guys that I do business with, and I don't feel like that should be any different for people that buy insurance from me. So I go to the social media thing and I actually take them out online and I say, hey, would you say something nice? And, you know, I mean, I throw out little suggestions like, hey, you could use hot words like handsome, the most amazing ever, and just like hitting around with them, having a little personality with it, right? And just say, hey, would you mind tagging me in that? Okay. Hey, we're going to just tag me in this thing over here. And it's amazing when you see this, because what happens is that the old saying, birds of a feather flock together, right? You've got the birds of a feather that flock together. They see that Joe or Jane put this out there. They had a great experience with Steve, AKA Mr. Insurance. I'm able to stand out among not only just them, but their friends. And that person, essentially, you're getting a referral without ever even asking for a referral. You're just asking for them to document their experience and give some kind of, again, just a document of their experience. So then what happens after that person has gone out there online, what they're going to do from this point on is they're going to tag you in it. You respond to the tag. Thank you. It was amazing working with you. I love getting to know you and your family. I love getting to know your kids. It was awesome. Hey, if anybody else needs some help, have them reach out to me. Shoot me a message out online. I'd love to talk to them. And watch and see that these people will contact you like if I don't get 5 or 6 off of every single one of those that is out there, it's a mind blower to me of how absolutely powerful that social media tag and importance is. Get to know your customer, take the time to listen to what they're telling you and ask them to be a referral of your business. And that's all I got here. So I think I'm out of time.
Dude, you're right. You are doing amazing. I appreciate you joining. We got some really good nuggets and creativity and some good feedback in the chat. If they want to learn more, buddy, or talk to you or reach out, what should we provide for that?
I can leave some information on there. You guys can go out on Instagram. You follow me at Mr. Insurance Steve. That's the same thing with Facebook and YouTube and everything else. You guys go out there and check out some of my videos. So we post some of the exotic car drives, a couple of things. That's like one of my big passions. That's for another story for another time on that thing as well too. Cody knows what I'm talking about. But with that being said, I really appreciate you guys taking a minute to have me in and let me speak, and hopefully you guys learn some good stuff out of this, and we can get out there and win together.
Let's go. I love it, Steve. Thank you, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mr. Steve Ludwig in the chat. I appreciate him jumping on and being a part of our training webinar today. Thank you, George.
Sorry if there was a lag too, by the way. I apologize. My internet is not great down here on the farm. So
you're good, buddy. I don't know if it was you or me, but I don't have the best of internet sometimes too. So either way, it wasn't too bad, and I appreciate you being a part of it. Phenomenal info, better info than internet, right? That's all that matters. Okay.
Right.
If it was better internet than info, people would be like, you know what? I don't know about Steve, man, but he's got better info than internet. So I like it, man. I like it. Okay. Dude,
Right.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Who's enjoying today? Give us a 8 in the chat if you're like, man, dude, I'm going to be part of the 8%. I'm enjoying today. I'm liking today. I'm getting some good info. I'm taking a ton of notes. And I've got some good stuff that I'm working. Also, if you are going to be posting this, talk about branding and social, right? And marketing. If you're going to be posting this on social at all, whether it's a picture or a video or a clip or a story on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, please make sure to tag myself and our speakers today so that we can make sure we're getting the message out, and so that more people online that are following you and learning from you can learn about our speakers. And also for those that are following you online can be like, dude, this person is committed to their craft, they're learning, they're serious, and it can come full circle in a lot of different ways. You never know. Okay. And so posting online can absolutely do that. I'm going to roll into our next speaker, and Toby, feel free to share a link again if you want. If anybody wants to talk to our team about leads, marketing, age leads, new leads, websites, marketing, recruiting, events, speaking, whatever, right? Or if you're like, dude, I'm as good as these speakers today, I want to speak on this like they do. You know what? Hit me up. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Either way, we can have a conversation in a chat. I don't know. These speakers are pretty awesome and pretty cool. Thank you, George. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you. You're awesome. Okay. What is up, PJ Douglas Sands? Good to see you. You are amazing. Our next speaker, don't hold it against him that he's a Pittsburgh native and a Steelers fan. However, their organization, Nice Lawson Fleming, is working with tens of thousands of agents and about 3,000 to 4,000 active producing agents in the life and health space, mostly Medicare and health side. Truly phenomenal team, incredible organization. I've been to the office, love what they're doing, love getting to hang out with the guy. He can sing karaoke like nobody's business and is hilarious to hang out with at dinner. Please welcome to our training webinar today, Mr. Bill Kiray. What is up, Bill?
Good morning. Well, I guess it's maybe good morning in Central Mountain and Western. It is good afternoon in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Just in case you ever forget where it is that I'm from, black and gold. You'll see it. You'll see it on everything we do. So Pittsburgh proud, Pittsburgh born and raised. But just first and foremost, on the definition of a legendary gangster, a legendary gangster is one who approaches their work, their task, or their mission with a relentless focus and a sense of style.
I love that. Let's go. Thank you for that.
Okay. My example on this one would be Michael Corleone in the last 40 minutes of the original Godfather. He was pissed off that someone had tried to kill his dad. He was angry that somebody tried to take him out. And he said, you know what? I'm going to go to a baptism. I'm going to have all y'all killed, and then I'm going to take it all over. And he looked great while he was doing it. So that would be my example, backing up my definition of legendary gangster. So, but really excited to talk with all of you today. The focus of what I want to do may seem incredibly counterintuitive, but that's okay. Just stick with me while I do it. And I am going to hit you with a share screen because I got a little bit of a deck going on, and want you guys to roll through this. So Cody and I had talked about this subject very briefly on one of the Power Player podcasts that we had done, and it was remarkable to both of us, the comments we were getting. And the subject that I had just tossed out, which was a mistake I think new agents make a lot, is that they buy too many leads. And all of a sudden, when we were talking about it, it was like the comments on the YouTube video that Cody released. Ping, 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 ping. What do you mean? That's a crazy nugget. So wanted to elaborate on that subject today. So what we're going to talk about is how less leads ultimately equal more sales, and why it is that agents need to focus on this to build revenue and reduce cost. So the first question I would ask everyone listening right now, do you buy leads? If you buy leads, say yes to yourself, raise your hand wherever you're at, because most agents, especially when they get started in the business and they don't have a book and they don't have a lot of referral streams, they don't have strategic partners, they're buying leads. And these leads can come from any number of different places. We've had speakers talk about direct mail. We've had speakers talk about getting leads off of the internet, off of social media, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all over the place. But here's the thing. If buying leads was the easiest path to growing your revenue and making a ton of money, everyone would be doing nothing but buying leads. But when you talk to an experienced agent who's been in the business for a while, a lot of times you'll ask them, hey, where are you buying leads? And what will those agents say? Oh, I don't buy leads anymore. Here's what you should think about. When we talk to agents about their experience working leads, when we talk to our top producers, folks who've been in the business about a year and a half, individuals who are completely new, what is it that agents say about it? So getting ready for this session, I went back to our sales team that is helping tons of agents all across the country with Medicare products every single day. And I said, I want to hear the nuggets you're getting from your agents on their experience working leads. And let's talk through what some of the things are that those agents have told us. The first thing, when asked, we heard this a lot. I don't work leads because no one ever answers the phone. How many of you that are out there watching this webinar today have tried working leads and you call, and no one ever picks up? Think about if that's been your experience. Let's think about some of the other feedback that we've gotten from agents when our sales team reached out. Do any of these next two items sound like you? I leave messages, but no one calls me back. There are a lot of agents who've reached out to our sales team and they're asking for the holy grail, the magic voicemail message. What is that voicemail message that I should leave that immediately will get people to say, oh my gosh, Bill Kiray is calling me about Medicare products. I must pick up the phone right now and call him back. Well, guess what? There is no magic voicemail message. I wish that there was. If there was, I would advertise it and I would sell it and I'd retire, because I guarantee you, if I truly had a magic voicemail message to get leads to return a call, it would be worth more money than any of us on the session today could ever make in our lifetime. Here's another piece of feedback that we got from our agents. I don't get enough responses to make this worthwhile. That they buy leads, they're reaching out, and they don't get enough people coming back, and that it ends up being a total dump of money that they cannot recover from. So the question I think that a lot of newer agents and even some more experienced agents are left with is, does this mean these leads are worthless? Like, is there any point to doing that? And rather than answer that question, I'm going to pose a different question instead. Think about it this way. Think about all of the lead companies that you get emails from. Think about organizations like Secure Agent Marketing that are working in the lead generation space. Think about any of the different vehicles, mediums that you could go out and get leads from. How could those lead companies stay in business if no one ever made sales on those leads? Because if no one ever made sales on the leads, people would just stop buying them. And at a certain period of time, all the lead companies would go out of business. So I think that poses a really interesting thought. Okay. The problem is not the leads. It's not. And one of the things I truly believe in, and I've said this to more agents and more agencies than I can possibly count. There's no such thing as a bad lead. There isn't. Like people, you will talk to an insurance agent and they will say, yeah, is this a good lead or a bad lead? Is it a new lead or is it an old lead? I only want A leads. I don't want a B lead, a C lead. There's no such thing as a bad lead. The only difference between a lead that converts and a lead that doesn't is the approach of the agent that's working it. I'm gonna go Star Wars on you guys for a little bit, okay? Think about the movie Empire Strikes Back. Luke is in Dagobah. He's in the marsh with Yoda. And all of a sudden, Luke gets this cold feeling, right? And he goes to the cave. And Luke says to Yoda, well, what's in there? And Yoda says, only what you take with you. Well, that's because Luke was carrying his fear in with him. The thing about working leads is the only difference between the leads that convert and the leads that don't is your approach and what you're doing. So let's talk through a couple key numbers on leads. And again, this could apply to final expense. It can apply to Medicare, which is really what we're focused on. It can apply to all elements of business. So it doesn't matter what it is that you're doing in terms of trying to generate sales, what product line, it doesn't matter. All of this is applicable to what you're doing and how you're working the leads, not what leads you're getting, how you work them. So let's talk through some key numbers. I hate to say this, but there are leads that don't get worked at all. And think about the craziness of this. Think about the craziness of spending money on a campaign, receiving leads, and then not even reaching out to them. Because we survey our folks, and you know what we hear? That somewhere in the range of like 27% of leads don't get worked at all. That's crazy. It's like if I were to pull out my wallet and just start throwing money into my garbage can. Think about that. You got a wallet in your pocket? You got a wallet in your purse? Would you take money out of your wallet and throw it in a garbage can? It's the same thing as buying leads that you don't even call. But when we talk through people and we look at industry research, just about 1 out of every 4 leads that is generated in the insurance space doesn't even get worked. All right, so next, let's talk through calls, outbound calls to leads. When we talk to agents about, on average, how many times you hit these leads, how are you really working them? What is it that our agents tell us? They tell us on average, they're making about 2 outreaches per lead. Well, is that enough? It's hard to say. As we sit here right now, think about with the leads that you've worked in the last year, on average, how many times have you reached out? And when you've done a campaign and maybe you've had results that weren't what you wanted, how many times did you reach out? So let's talk through how many calls it's really necessary to absolutely squeeze the lead as much as you can. So agents who are successful, agents that we talk to that work through Nice Lawson Fleming, that are consistently investing in leads month after month after month after month. I mean, it's like clockwork. We know, on the second day of the month, we're getting the call from Jim down in Tampa, and Jim is putting in his monthly lead order, and it's the same order every month, like clockwork. You could set your watch to it. Why is it that Jim is doing that when others are not? So when we talk to the agents who are successful and really dialed in on lead generation, what they're telling us is that they make 90% contact rate when they make at least 6 calls. Not 1, not 2, not 4. But the agents who are successful tell us that if they're making 6 outreaches or better to the leads, they make contact with that consumer 90% of the time. All of you that are out there that are listening today, I want you to think about the last year that you've had in terms of working leads. And what percentage of the consumers that you got as a lead, what percentage did you actually talk to? And then think about how many average outreaches did you make? Because if you're sitting there and you're saying, I was making 6 or more outreaches, I guarantee your number is really close to this. If your contact rate is in the 50, 40, 30, 20%, it's very likely that you're making far less than 6 outreaches per lead. But then the question is, when do the sales happen? Like, it's great to make contact with a consumer. That's great. Oh, I'm having a conversation on the phone. That's wonderful. Selling is an entirely different thing, because we'll talk to agents and they'll talk to us about cost per lead. I'm like, stop talking about cost per lead. Cost per lead is not the metric that you should ever be focused on, because we're not in the lead generation business. I'm not. Most of the other speakers here are not. We're in the sales business, because unless we make a sale, all a lead is cost. So the question is, what is it that takes to generate the sale? So 80% of the sales that are made, if we talk to all of our agents all across the country that are working leads, 80% of the business that they write from leads is on the leads they called 6 or more times. So what this really dials down to, like when we talk about what do these numbers mean? Like I'm a numbers guy. I like numbers. I like talking about how numbers can build a narrative to impact activity. Okay. But all those numbers that I just showed you and talked you through, what do they mean? What it means is agents buy too many leads because they don't have enough time to work them hard. And all the time, less leads almost certainly will result in more sales. So let's talk about that some more. Less leads, more sales. Again, as I opened when we started talking, seems counterintuitive. It seems like it doesn't make sense. But agents should only be buying as many leads as they can call 7 times. Let's count them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times. If you buy more leads than you can call 7 times, you are acknowledging that you are throwing money away. I swear to you, I've been in this business for 20 years. I know that my youthful demeanor and this incredible head of hair that I'm rocking today, okay, I guarantee you're like, there's no way you could be in insurance for 20 years. Legit. I started in the business when I was 24 years old. Okay, so don't let this appearance fool you. 20-year vet in this business. I'm telling you, if you buy so many leads that you only have the bandwidth to call them 2 times, it is legitimately like taking your wallet and throwing it in the campfire. Imagine like how many people hang out on the weekends at a buddy's house, at a friend's house, sitting around a fire pit. It is a great time. What is it about open flame that is such a great thing? I don't know. Maybe it's because we're all inner pyro somewhere inside of ourselves, but so many times during the summertime, even if it's hot, you'll light a fire sitting around the campfire. If you buy too many leads and you only have the bandwidth to call them twice, again, take your wallet, throw it in the campfire, watch it burn, because you're throwing your cash away. The key thing that agents have to do if they want to be successful and also maximize their investment, okay, the key thing is you've got to really identify how many calls you can make and then build your lead buy from that. So let's talk about how to build a lead management plan. Okay, the first thing that has to be done is you've got to identify how much time do you have to call leads. Now, depending upon your business model, this may vary. It may be that you're working insurance as a side hustle. Okay, so you may need to say, okay, what are my times that I can commit to making outbound calls per leads, in addition to what it is that I'm doing that's putting food on my table and putting a roof over my head. If you're a full-time insurance agent, you've got to think through what are the times that I've got available that I'm not running appointments, that I'm not doing consumer visits or whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, you've got to identify what does that look like. It may be that you say, hey, all day Monday, all day Wednesday, call in leads, and I'm booking appointments Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. It may be that you say, hey, between 9 a.m. and noon, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and on Tuesday and Thursday between 1 and 4, that is my lead time. But again, you've got to build out very diligently what it is that your plan is in terms of when you are committed to calling your leads. Then from there, you need to identify how many calls am I making during each of those times. And this is something you got to track. Now, if you have a VoIP system that you're making calls on, you probably have the ability to look, during those blocks, get a call reporter and say, okay, I'm averaging making 24 calls every hour that I'm outbound dialing. Maybe you're making 30, maybe you're making 10, whatever it is, but you've got to identify how many calls you're making per hour, because that will help you, again, identify and build out what your lead plan needs to be. So I usually recommend that agents build out a bandwidth in terms of a 2-week block. And you're probably saying, well, why not a month? Because I think that at a certain point from the time you get a lead back, you've got like 2 weeks that you have maximum effectiveness. So you should be saying to yourself, okay, if I'm calling someone every other day for 14 days, I'm getting in my 7 calls. That's probably your right approach. That's what I recommend. That's why I talk about a 2-week block. There are other folks who believe differently about it. The single biggest key is call your leads 7 times. So if you want to build your plan differently, do that. But that's why I always talk about a 2-week block. But you need to identify, again, based upon how many hours you're committing to working your leads, how many calls you're averaging, outbound dials per hour, and how long that takes. Build out your 2-week call expectation, and then divide that number by 7. Okay. And that is how many leads you can be managing at any one point in time. Let's talk through what a sample plan like that looks like. So again, what we want to talk about is it is critical that you are committed and you are honest with yourself. Committed and honest is really important if you want to be successful building out a plan that's going to have you maximizing your lead spend. And again, part of that is you have to track, and it may be that you don't have a call reporter, but just log it. Like how many outbound, start working your plan without understanding how many calls you're averaging per hour and track it. Say, okay, on Monday, I'm calling leads for 3 hours. Starting at 9, go until noon, and then I'm going to have a grilled cheese sandwich and some Cheez-Its. Cheez-Its, by the way, tremendous cracker, goes well with any lunch plate. Highly recommended. Thank you, Steve, for that. I'm glad you are also a Cheez-Its fan too, my friend. But again, you're making calls 9 to 12. Track it for a couple days and be like, oh, well, on Monday, I was averaging 24 calls an hour. On Wednesday, I got more people to pick up. I was only getting to 18. On Friday, ended up getting to like 35. So track the number and you can, again, adjust your plan. This is a process of love. But again, this is a business. You got to take the time to focus on the elements that's going to help you maximize your revenue. If it's a hobby, just buy leads and call them. Like you're, financially independent. I'm just writing insurance for, giggles. But if you're treating this like your business, you need to approach it that way. So let's talk through, again, this sample bandwidth plan. So let's say that what you've decided to do is you are going to call your leads 3 days a week for 4 hours a day. Simple math, that gives you 12 hours a week. In that 2-week block that I talked about, you've got 24 hours of call time. Okay, that means that you're committed, you're diligent, sticking with the schedule. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 4 hours a day, going after it. What that means is if you start tracking your calls and you determine you can make on average in terms of your lead time, because we're not talking about you getting somebody and maybe all of a sudden you pop to a sale. But if you're calling your leads, you're making 24 calls an hour over that 2-week period of time. What is that? 576 calls during that 2-week segment. If you are calling every one of your leads 7 times, that means in any 2-week block, you can only handle 82 leads. Now, 82 leads sounds like a lot. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It kind of depends. Like for those of you that are working direct mail, you'd probably say, well, hell, I mean, that's a huge return off of 4,000 pieces of mail. For those of you that may be working internet response leads or things coming off of social, 82 leads may not be a lot. But again, you have to build your plan if you want to be successful around 7 calls per lead, because that's the way that you maximize your return on your investment. Because again, none of us are in the lead generation game. None of us are in the, hey, what's the lowest price that I can get per lead? How many leads can I buy for $1,000? There's no trophy for that. Being able to get a tremendous cost per lead as an agent, it doesn't fill up your bank account. What does fill up your bank account is maximizing your sales. So let's hit this real quick. If you want to be successful, here are the things that you need to be prepared to do. 3 keys, 3 takeaways. Number 1, be committed to a scheduled block of calling. I can tell you that in both my professional life and in my personal life, that if I don't prioritize and block out something, it doesn't happen. Okay. So I've got to commit. I've got to block time off to do certain things that are important. So you've got to commit to scheduled calling blocks. Second, you got to track your calls and how long it takes you. Because at the end of the day, that math, those metrics are going to help you understand how many leads is the right amount. But again, most important thing, if you take nothing else out of what I'm talking about today, take this: 7 calls per lead. 7 calls. That's what's going to help you really generate revenue. And remember, this is not a hobby. This is a business. Treat it like one. You are a business person. Need to approach your work like a legendary gangster. Relentless focus and some style. But again, plan your work and work your plan. Your attitude and your effort are always in your control. So whether you're successful or not, it's not about the quality of the leads you get or what the circumstances are. Whether or not you are successful is entirely 100% up to you. So want to thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate Cody inviting me to spend some time with you. If you want more information like what we went through today, 2 ways to get it. Go to our YouTube channel. We've got tremendous content that I think if you're a Medicare agent will really, really help you. Or you can just hit us up and give us a call at the office. We're here to help. Thank you.
I love it, dude. Thank you so much, buddy. Phenomenal job. I appreciate you jumping on and sharing your screen and walking through some of those amazing things. Is there anything else that we would like to add for follow-up? I know you mentioned a few things there. What can I add in chat in case they have questions or want to reach out?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what I always tell people, Cody, is if they want to know what Nice, Schloss, and Fleming is all about, they should go to the YouTube channel. We offer more free in-depth Medicare training than anyone else. It's because we're committed to helping people learn how to do this business, do it right and do it profitably. And at the same time, really serve consumers. So that's what I would tell you. I did see something that just popped up in the chat because I stopped my screen share so I can see it. I would never call someone 7 times in a day. That was a question from Connie. I'm talking about 7 calls over a 14-day period of time, every other day. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, so on and so forth. But, like I said, check out our YouTube channel, get a feel and a flavor for us, not just for me, but our entire sales team that's putting out content. And if you like us, hit us up. We're really eager to train agents and make a great career in the Medicare space. We're all about it.
I love it, Bill. You're awesome. Appreciate you sharing today. And you are absolutely a legendary gangster. Let's go. Thank you, Bill. Give it up for Mr. Bill Kiray, Nice, Schloss, and Fleming in the chat. Phenomenal info. Excellent trainer, man. He's been on my YouTube channel a couple times. We did a webinar together. He's been on this. He was at 1%. He's going to be at 8%. Like, we're doing a lot together this year. And every time Bill speaks and trains, I get phenomenal feedback from agents. I truly, truly do. Also, let me know in chat really quick. I'm going to bring in our VP of Marketing, Toby Roberts, here in a couple of minutes. can do some recap and share some ideas. But what has stood out from everything that you've learned today? What is a nugget, a piece of value that you're going to take away, something you're going to implement in your business, something you're going to use today, tomorrow, next week, whatever, that you're like, man, dude, I loved this, right? Like we got a lot of amazing feedback, great info, phenomenal speakers, awesome training, loved it all. If you had to say, you know what, this is one thing that I picked up that I learned, right? Whether it was from Shawn or Ty or Steve or Bill or myself or Toby or whoever, right? And this is what I've learned. This is what I loved. Feel free to share that in chat. We appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being a part of this. I learned a lot as a new agent. I'm going to do the 7 times outreach. If you just do that, oh my gosh, Bill is right from everything he said. That is one thing that very few agents ever do. Probably like 4% of agents, 2% of agents, like it's very low. So that's amazing. I appreciate that you can have too many, that you don't triple call 3 times a day. Yes. Do we have, let's see. Business is different from hobby. Business demands a self-discipline. Yeah. Put more effort into fewer leads, work social media more effectively. Love that. Make a plan, work it. Problem is not the leads, the approach. It's easy for the agent to point blame. But there's no doubt we can always get better and do better. Constant activity from all speakers. Yes, Willard, that has definitely been the case. Let me do this. I know Toby was taking some excellent notes. I want him to kind of recap some of the notes and share some of the things that he noticed. He's our VP of marketing. Toby, what were some of the things that stood out? Kind of recap some of our speakers on what's going on.
What a bunch of freaking gold out of this, right? You got Shawn coming in to kick it off, talking about the best way to dial through leads, right? And hey, activity is what is going to put you further ahead. Sticking to your schedule, limiting your distractions, and really taking a look inside and owning up to what your part of your role in all of this is. If you're not being successful, guess whose fault it is when you own this business, right? Then you got Ty coming around the back of that, talking about passion. I mean, the guy was living back with his parents. I mean, as a dad, as a man, that's a tough pill to swallow. And then he goes back out and he's creating this big business all on the back of this passion. Love that. Then Steve comes in from the PNC side, talking about connection, dropped one of the best nuggets I think that gets overlooked a lot is that social referral. If you can get people to connect with you, you're going to be able to get more business off of this. So, and then Bill followed it up with great numbers, calling some people out, making sure that they're holding themselves accountable to, as the marketing guy, he starts off, he's like, hey, buy fewer leads. And I'm like, oh, what are we doing? We're buying fewer leads. No, it's great because what you want to be able to do is work the leads you buy. If you buy all these leads and you don't work them properly, I promise you're going to call me and blame me, right? When that happens, I'm not going to list it now. Bill's just giving me permission to say it's your fault. Love it.
I do too, buddy. I love it. Thank you for the recaps. Also, Toby, I want them to throw in chat. Like if you're like, hey, here's some things I need help with from a marketing or a lead front. If it's like, hey, dude, I just need help, with leads, type leads in chat, right? If it's, hey, I want to recruit more people, right? And you want to build a team, type recruiting in chat. Or if you're like, you know what, I want to do some of those new test leads you were talking about with you on video in front of consumers, type test in the chat, right? Or if it's a website or branding,
Branding.
Yep.
Hey,
Or
Google.
even Google. That's right, man. I love Google. Yeah. Why don't you talk about Google and kind of some of the things that we're doing that people aren't aware of that are really.
Google's a beast, right? I mean, everybody wants to be on Google. You mentioned it earlier that Google is people searching you out. The trick to Google is that it takes time and it takes consistency. If Google is not something you get on and 2 weeks down the road you decide to jump back off, you'll burn all your money. You'll throw it in the campfire, as Bill says. If you want to do Google, you have to be committed to. If you're doing it yourself, which it can be done. If you want to do it and you want to waste all of your time not selling, you can do it.
True.
But If you want to maximize all of your time to doing what you're supposed to be doing and building your business, then partner with a good team. Even if it's not us, find somebody that you enjoy working with that is on your side that can do Google for you. What you're going to be doing, you need to get G2 certified. You need to get all of your campaigns up. You need good assets. And then what you need to do is work it every single day, going in, changing out keywords, adding keywords, removing keywords, checking to see what conversions are happening. All of that is something that has to be done to run a successful Google campaign. So that's what our team is really focused on. I think, without using a terrible term, we've just cracked the nut on final expense and Medicare when it comes to Google. We know what we're doing there, and we would love to help anyone on this call build a successful campaign. So,
yeah, we also, one of the things that Jeremy did that I thought was really cool on one of our Google engineers is, and that y'all were working through, is actually syncing up with the CRM so that when a sale is made, it talks back to Google and says this person was sold. So then it allows us to optimize it even better so that we know which types of leads and which type of individuals are actually ending up in sales, which gives Google a whole array of additional data to use and run with. Talk about that. Like, I think that's freaking cool.
yeah, that kind of piggybacks on what Bill was putting in his slides. Like, activities and calls and connections are great, but at the end of the day, it's about sales. And so we take the data. So we'll just give an example. I convert on someone's Google campaign. I buy a policy. We report my information back through Google of all the pieces that came through. So if I clicked on Medicare help keyword and went to the landing page, submitted my information all the way through making a sale, comes right back to Google. And we are optimizing then on a sale rather than a click or a keyword. We want to know what led to the sale so we can duplicate more of those.
Yes, 100%. So helpful, so cool. Well, I know that specifically, like, agents have to get in front of people. That's what this webinar is all about today. We love helping you. We want to help you get in front of more people. We want to help you be successful. I know from all of our speakers, Shawn, Ty, Steve, Bill, Toby, and I, like, we are pouring in time. I'm so thankful for our speakers for being a part of this thing, because it helps agents be better and find success in an industry where so many agents are failing. We are here to help. We want to help you. Toby, can you throw our link in there one more time? If they're like, you know what, I want to talk to your squad, I want to talk to your team, and I would like to learn more. We are here to help, and we absolutely want to help you. We appreciate you being on today. Thank you for being a part of our leads and marketing webinar. We will see you here on another webinar very, very soon. Thanks for joining, and have a phenomenal Friday, phenomenal weekend, phenomenal rest of May. Let's go rock and roll, and we will see you soon. Adios. Thank you all. Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there. Special guest today. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this. I got a couple special things for you today as well. From Woodland Hills, California, with Gaspar Insurance Services, and a brand new book literally launching right now. Please welcome